Hi everyone. We are going to do some corms. We are getting closer to spring, so I felt like it was time. I met a plant friend nearby and we exchanged some corms. I wanted to do some tests with different methods of propagating corms, so I wanted to show that to you today. This is an Alocasia mellow corm. You can tell it's nice and, you like them nice and plump. This one doesn't even have very much of the outer skin on it. I like to peel a little bit of the skin off. I just think it helps them root a little easier. And if there's a spot that's not looking so good, you can easily spot it and possibly treat it. So this guy, because there's hardly any on it, I'm just using my nail real quickly. I do have some of my little tools that I tend to use, but these ones don't have as much. So I find that ones like this, where the skin is real thin, your fingernail is sufficient. So if you want to see, you can see there's still a little bit on there, but I got most of it off. Now I only have one mellow, and I think I am going to put him in the water method. Now I always like to take a look at the water level. This has a teeny bit too much water, so I'm actually going to pour a little bit of this water out, because you want it about halfway up the corm, or at least that's what I find works best. You don't want your corm just submerged in water like that. So if you can see through here, you can see the top part of the corm sticking out, lower half is submerged. I also like to put a tiny drop of hydrogen peroxide in with mine. I find that it oxygenates the water, and it also kind of helps prevent against any issues with bacteria and things like that. I'm going to put a lid on him, and I will come change this water weekly, because where I live it's still cold. It's warming up, but it's still too cold. I will have this sitting on one of the plant heat mats under a grow light to help stimulate growth. In the summertime, I don't have to put these on a heat mat at all. I can sit them anywhere. I could leave it sit here on my kitchen table and it would start sprouting in no time. Now the ones that I really want to do the test on, so my friend, she had 3 odora corms that were starting to dry out. As you know, usually when you can get corms fresh, that's the best. But I figured this is a good opportunity to try 3 different methods and see who propagates the fastest, or survives to propagation. So you can tell they're a little wrinkly, but I think we can get them to root. like I was saying, this has been my tried and true method. I have used the water method, where if I have a bunch of corms, which I can insert a picture, and show you guys my most recent. This winter, I noticed my Jacqueline had a whole bunch of corms. So I took them off of her so she would stop dropping her leaves. She decided to drop her leaves anyway because, you know, I touched her. But after she got over me touching her leaves, she regrew her leaves. And I think all of the Jacqueline corms have sprouted except for one. There's one small one that I'm not certain if it's going to root or not, but all the other ones have. Some of them are already in different methods of continuing propagation. I can do a video on that. I have some in fluval, some in pond, just in water, but I can show some of that. Okay, so we're just gonna keep working on peeling these corms. As you can tell, I got this one. Inside it looks a lot better. I left some of the peel towards the end. Sometimes if it's real thick and it doesn't come off easily, you just want to leave it be. Working on the next one. I believe this is a variegated odora. I think it's a goldish yellow variegation. So possibly an aura. Now you can see this one has a little spot on it. I'll focus for you. You can see that little spot. I am going to gently scrape that off because that could be, you can see where I scraped it off. It's a little more white under there. I don't want to leave any spots that look like they could be starting to rot, because as soon as you get a spot like that, it doesn't go so well. So there we go. Got most of this off here, you can see, and I think he's gonna go in method number 2, and then we have number 3. That's with this bottom too much. It's a little gentle, but pretty much have everything off of him. All right, so here's what I like to do. I have a method that you basically, you wet this perlite. And so we're going to put a fair amount of water in here. Stir it up good. Make sure the perlite is saturated, but not, you don't want it dripping. So I always test to see if there's any water that's going to come out. This is why I always do these on paper towels. So I take out any of the extra water. So the only thing that is damp in here is the perlite, but there's no more water that's going to run out. And I'm going to take the corm. He looks good. I'm going to sit him right in the center here, his bottom part down. Wow. A little, he wants to fall over. Okay. So his bottom part, hold this up here. His bottom part is in the perlite. The top is sticking out. I'll put a lid on him, and I will leave this lid on here. He also will go on the heat mat with the grow light. Now, we're going to get the mixture of fluval and perlite wet. Added a little bit of water to this. I always start with distilled water when they're babies like this. So that's what I have in this 1 cup. I'm going to take him, his bottom, point down, top, bottom, sit him down in, just like I kind of did the one in the perlite. And normally, if I see condensation building on these, I sometimes will just tap on the top so the water drops go down and help rehydrate the material. If I look in and it doesn't look, you know, I don't know if you can see on the sides, like you can kind of tell it's wet. Fluval is usually dark black color when it's saturated, and that will let you know that there's moisture in here. If it starts to look grayish, you're going to want to take the top off and put a little bit of water in. Last method, which I'm going to have to pour out some of that water because I had too much. This corm is kind of tiny, but you can see here, half in, half out. And I am also going to give him a tiny little splash of hydrogen peroxide. Put his lid on, and I am going to label these 3 so I know what they are, and the mellow over here, and they will go into my other room, into the cabinet with the grow mats. In the heat mats and the grow lights. And we will check back. I will probably do another video in about a week and show you the status or the demise of how these corms are going.